Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. Watch my video and subscribe my channel. Lee confesses living Luna's secret to Sheila. Warns don't tell Finn. The bold and the beautiful spoilers reveal that Lee Finnegan may confess a living Luna Nozawa secret to Sheila Sharp. Will Lee come clean at some time and warn Sheila not to tell John Finn Finnegan the truth? In BNB's July 22nd episode, Lee and Sheila discovered some common ground over Luna. Sheila expressed amazement at their finding comfort with one another. So Lee claimed that Sheila was the only one grieving for Luna like her. From Sheila's perspective, it seems like nobody other than Lee cares about Luna's dismal plight. That's why Sheila's latching onto this new friendship with Lee. One that might turn into a full-blown alliance if Lee's secret surfaces. Despite Lee's assertions about Luna being dyed, she's certainly hiding stuff. That was evident in the cryptic way Lee responded to Sheila, who asked whether there'd be any kind of service. Lee stated it was already done and had been handled, but the look on her face suggested another story. Sheila may not be picking up on all the secrecy now, but that might change sooner or later. Since Lee obviously has an alive Luna stashed off-screen somewhere, she may decide she needs an ally. It's going to be a lot of work caring for Luna as she heals, so maybe Sheila could chip in, especially considering her experience as a nurse. Part of Lee might also take pity on Sheila since she's mourning this loss so hard. Sheila may have a rough time coming out of this rut, so perhaps Lee could ultimately decide to bring her in the loop on Luna's survival. Of course, another alternative might include Sheila taking matters into her own hands. If Sheila finally has some doubts about Lee hiding something, that could lead to her doing some digging. Sheila might play detective and follow Lee to her Luna refuge. That could be another way to Lee's entire confession along with her warning that Sheila can't tell Finn or anyone else that Luna isn't gone for good. Hope's engagement in crisis as Liam's recovery changes everything. Hope Logan has a hard choice when dying Liam Spencer makes a miraculous comeback. Will she keep her engagement to Carter Walton or return to her first love? Bold and beautiful spoilers. Hope's engagement in crisis as Liam's recovery changes everything. When a deathbed blessing becomes a living nightmare. Talk about awkward timing. Hope Logan finds herself in the most impossible situation after Liam Spencer's miraculous recovery from what everyone thought was a terminal illness. The man who actually told her to go on and find happiness with Carter Walton is now very much alive and breathing, and Hope's engagement now feels like it's built on quicksand. The foundation was already shaky. Here's the truth nobody likes to speak out loud. Hope only said yes to Carter's proposal because she feared Liam was dying. That's hardly exactly the romantic story you tell your grandkids, is it? Liam, feeling his days were numbered, gave Hope his approval to move forward with Carter. He wanted her to be happy after he was gone. Noble? Sure. But now that he's conquered the odds and survived, that blessing feels more like a curse. The whole thing has calamity written all over it. Carter finally thought he'd found his happily ever after with Hope, the woman who wouldn't flit between two men like a certain someone we all know. Meanwhile, Hope thought she was honoring a dying man's wishes by choosing stability over her complicated history with Liam. Those hospital scenes hit different. If you watched Hope at Liam's bedside during his health crisis, you know exactly where this is heading. The tears, the hand-holding, the desperate prayers. That wasn't just concern for her daughter's father. That was a lady understanding she might lose the love of her life forever. And now that she hasn't, well, Carter better start preparing himself for heartbreak, because Hope's eyes tell a different story than her engagement ring. The bond between Hope and Liam during those heartbreaking sequences was unmistakable. After years of their on-again, off-again drama, watching them in such a raw, vulnerable moment reminded everyone why Lope has been such an enduring love story. You can't fake that type of relationship, and you surely can't compete with nearly a decade of shared experience. Carter deserves better than this. Let's be serious for a second. Carter Walton is a good man who's been everybody's second choice for much too long. The guy has been engaged more times than we can count, and it always ends the same way, with him alone while the woman runs back to her true love. Now he's witnessing his fiancée having second thoughts because her ex-husband didn't actually die. If that's not a sign to run, what is? Carter symbolizes everything Hope thinks she should want. Stability, maturity, no drama. But should isn't the same as does, and anyone with eyes can see that Hope's heart is already halfway out the door. The unfortunate man is about to become another casualty in the unending Hope-Liam-Steffi triangle that's been revolving since 2010. What happens when death doesn't do them part? Liam's recovery alters everything. That deathbed blessing? Consider it null and void. Hope isn't a grieving woman anymore, trying to honor a dying man's last wish. She's a woman with two very alive men who want to build a future with her. One offered her stability when she thought she'd lost everything. The other? He's the father of her child, her first love, and the man who just defied death itself. We all know how this plays out in soap opera land. Hope will try to convince herself she's happy with Carter. She'll probably even start organizing the wedding. But every time she looks at Liam, every time Beth talks about her daddy, every single moment will be a reminder of what she's giving up. And Liam? He's not going to sit back and watch the woman he loves marry another man just because he told her to when he thought he was dying. The clock is ticking on this engagement. The leaks are already implying that Hope's dragging her heels on wedding planning. That's soap opera language, for this relationship is doomed. Add in Liam's newfound hero status, and you've got a recipe for a reunion that feels imminent. Will Hope shatter Carter's heart to reunite with Liam? Will she try to push herself to stick with the safe choice? Or will this whole thing erupt in spectacular way when the truth about Dr. Grace Buckingham's strange cure comes to light? One thing's for certain. Someone's heart is getting smashed into a million pieces, and we're guessing it's not going to be Liam's. After all, when has choosing the steady, drama-free option ever worked out on the bold and the beautiful? This is a program built on emotion, history, and second chances, and Carter is about to discover that the hard way. Daphne's LA return stuns Carter. Ridge's final answer to Brooke. The bold and the beautiful spoilers for Wednesday, July 23rd, reveal that Daphne Rose's LA return will startle Carter Walton, while Ridge Forrester provides a final answer to Brooke Logan, at least for now. First on Wednesday's B&B episode, Carter will get a shock when Daphne suddenly comes back up in town. Daphne had rejected Steffi Forrester's suggestion of coming back to Los Angeles, but she'll change her mind and throw Carter for a loop. Carter is engaged to Hope Logan and looking forward to their next married chapter together. But will the sight of Daphne stir up old feelings? It'll likely generate some awkwardness and leave Carter confused with what to say to Daphne. Deep down, Daphne may still be clinging to hope that she could have a future with Carter instead. Of course, we can't rule out the possibility that Daphne and Carter have something to hide. There's a chance that Carter let passion erupt with Daphne off-screen right before he reconciled with Hope. If that's the case, maybe there's another reason why Daphne's been so reluctant to meet Carter. A pregnant secret would undoubtedly spice up this storyline, so stay tuned for updates on any big news Daphne might divulge. In the meantime, let's speak about Brooke and Ridge, since she just offered him one final chance to come back to her. If Ridge doesn't surrender to their love, then Brooke could move on with Nick Marone and spend this Italy trip by his side. This is Ridge's last opportunity to select Brooke and leave Taylor Hayes behind, but he won't take advantage of it. Ridge will dig his heels in when it comes to the commitment he made to Taylor. Therefore, Brooke will recognize that she has to let go. Naturally, we all know this won't actually be Ridge's final chance to choose Brooke. Ridge will still end up pursuing Brooke once all the action in Naples and Capri gets begun, so viewers just have to be patient. Until then, Ridge and Nick have a heated face-off coming up. It's clear that Ridge is rather possessive when it comes to Brooke, and he especially loathes the thought of her making Nick the new man in her life. It began not with a bang, but with a whisper barely audible, cracking like dry leaves in the wind when Lee Finnegan's voice shattered the quiet that hung thick between her and Sheila Carter in that dim hospital corridor. The July 22nd show had afforded viewers a glimpse of something no one expected. A moment of eerie camaraderie between two women long considered rivals, even foes. Yet here they were, joined not by forgiveness or trust, but by grief, or what appeared to be grief. Lee's jaw was tight, her eyes rimmed crimson as she sat across from Sheila, whose own sorrow had taken on a frantic, obsessive edge. "You're the only one who cares like I do," Sheila had whispered, voice tinged with doubt and weak hope, and Lee, against every fiber of her clinical, guarded, surgical nature, had nodded. And in that instant, something cracked open. It wasn't just the wall between them, but the awful reality Lee had been keeping buried since that gunshot snatched Luna Nozawa's future away in a blur of blood and bewilderment. Luna wasn't dead. Not really. Not in the way the world believed. And that truth had metastasized into a secret so dark, so massive, it threatened to collapse in on itself if not shared with someone. Anyone. And that someone, against all odds, was Sheila. They had met in the hospital chapel days after the rushed, whispered announcement of Luna's off-screen, private cremation. Sheila had shown up late, clutching a cheap bouquet from the hospital gift shop and wearing a black scarf over her fiery curls. Lee was already inside, sitting immobile, hands folded in her lap like a porcelain figure set on a forgotten altar. No service had ever transpired. No family. No prayers. No closure. When Sheila questioned about it, Lee lied, mechanically, softly, eyes facing straight ahead. "It's already done. It's been handled." But Sheila saw the tremble in her lip, the delay in her breath, the way her left hand subtly clutched the armrest. Something didn't stack up. And that was when the wheels in Sheila's mind, so frequently dangerous, so often wrong, started to turn in a direction no one could predict. Curiosity tempered by compassion. For once, it wasn't about revenge or control. It was about understanding. What followed was not an outburst, not an explosion of confession, but a steady loss of resistance. Over coffee in the hospital lounge, over exchanged stares in the waiting rooms, over fleeting brushing of agony that only a mother or a mother figure could truly understand. Sheila had seen enough grief to know when someone was faking it, and Lee was faking it, slipping up, saying Luna is instead of was, catching herself, then overcorrecting with robotic platitudes. Sheila knew the signals, and she knew the guilt of a mother holding back the truth. So finally, in a period of oppressive calm broken only by the hiss of a vending machine and a distant above paper, Lee crumbled. "She's alive!" she murmured, so quietly Sheila believed she had misheard. "She's not dead. I faked it." Sheila stared, unblinking, mouth ajar, trying to process. Lee didn't let her speak. "You can't tell Finn," she warned, gripping Sheila's arm with a desperation that startled them both. "No one can know. Not even Poppy." She explained haltingly, clinically, that Luna had been near death, that the hospital staff declared her brain dead after the shooting, that Finn had signed the death certificate without noticing the anomalies in her neural response scan. But Lee had noticed. She always noticed. And instead of allowing the equipment be unplugged, she falsified paperwork, sedated the visiting nurse, and had Luna surreptitiously relocated to a special hospital ward she controlled off-grid, a relic of her secret past in surgical research. "She's alive," Lee repeated, "but she's not awake. Not yet. Her brain waves are oscillating. She's in a coma, but she's alive." Sheila's mind whirled. It was too mad, too cruel. Lee, the same woman who faked Finn's death and kept him hidden while the world mourned him. Why? Sheila asked finally, the question like glass shattering between them. Why fake it again? Why not tell Finn? Lee's eyes darkened, her voice low and brittle. "Because he doesn't understand what I have to do to protect them," she yelled. "I saved Finn once. I'll save Luna too. But this time I don't need his judgment. I need his distance." Sheila could hardly believe what she was hearing. She wanted to shout, to run, to drag Lee to Finn and push the truth out into the open. But something stopped her. Perhaps it was the tears that shimmered in Lee's eyes, unusual and raw. Or maybe it was the glimmer of purpose Sheila felt again. The sensation she hadn't experienced since Steffi pulled her away and Deacon began tiptoeing around her sadness. If Luna was alive, then Sheila had something to do. A mission. A redemption. But Lee's warning came with fangs. You breathe a word of this to Finn, and I'll disappear with her. You'll never find us, and you'll forfeit all possibility of being a part of her recovery. Sheila understood the threat, but she also understood the gift. A chance to be there, a chance to help, and so she agreed. I won't tell him. Not yet. Lee exhaled, the first real breath she'd taken in weeks. And just like that, the unlikeliest union in bold and beautiful history was born, not created from similar ideology or even love, but from the bizarre, twisted DNA of concealment and motherhood. Now, behind closed doors, Sheila enters the off-grid ward where Luna lays unconscious, linked to machines but with color slowly returning to her cheeks. Lee watches the vitals like a hawk. They say little, but a rhythm forms. Sheila changing Luna's linens, whispering stories of what's occurring outside. Lee administering experimental medicines, monitoring synaptic signals, meticulously noting brain wave anomalies. And all the while, the pressure rises. Finn thinks something is off. He questions Lee's grief, her evasiveness, the lack of a memorial, the ashes that never arrived. He asks questions. Sheila stalls him, lies, protects Lee's secret, even as it bites at her conscience. Meanwhile, across town, Hope's life is crumbling as Liam's remarkable recovery throws her engagement to Carter into upheaval. Hope, racked with guilt, torn between her loyalty to Carter and the fierce, undeniable pull toward Liam, begins hesitating over wedding planning. The ring feels weighty, the assurances feel false, and as if fate were not content to merely twist one triangle. Daphne Rose comes to Los Angeles just as Carter starts to detect Hope's emotional remoteness. Daphne, whose connection with Carter once burned quietly beneath the surface, now threatens to create a full-blown scandal. Did they enjoy a night together before Carter proposed to Hope? Is Daphne hiding a pregnancy? The ramifications are massive, especially if Hope's wavering drives Carter back into Daphne's arms. At the same time, Ridge Forrester sends a final answer to Brooke Logan, refusing to leave Taylor, at least for now. But Italy looms, and we know nothing in B&B is ever final. As Ridge and Nick Marone square off once more, the romantic undercurrent roars beneath the family drama. But even all that pales in comparison to what Sheila now knows. Because while love triangles and secret romances explode across LA, the real story, the secret that could rip the Finnegan family apart, sleeps in a hidden ward under the watchful eyes of two women no one would have ever imagined on the same side. One woman driven by science and control, the other by loss and redemption. Together, they hold Luna's fate in their hands. But how long can the secret stay buried? How long till Finn discovers the truth? And when he does, when he realizes his mother faked another death, that Luna, the woman he risked everything to save, was never gone at all, will he forgive them? Or will he destroy everything in his pursuit for answers? Because secrets this big don't remain buried forever. And when they surface, they cause tsunamis. Get ready, bold and beautiful enthusiasts. The wave is coming, and it's going to wash everything away.